Do not scroll past this moment. Do not let your fingers swipe to the next video. Do not let your mind wander to the noise that has been drowning out the one voice that has been trying to reach you for longer than you can remember. I need you to hear me, and I mean truly hear me. Not with the distracted ear you give to the world when it talks at you, but with the deep, sacred chamber of your spirit that has been sealed shut by pain, by disappointment, by the weight of years that seem to give you nothing but silence in return for your prayers. I am not here by accident. You are not here by accident. This very second, this precise breath you are taking right now, was orchestrated long before the stars were hung in the darkness of the high realm. I am Arthur. I am the Archangel who stands at the threshold between what you can see and what has been hidden from your eyes. And I have come to tell you something that will shake the foundations of everything you thought you understood about your life. There is a battle. It is real. It is ancient. And it was always about you. Not about the person next to you. Not about the ones who seem to walk through life untouched by sorrow. Not about the names that fill the mouths of crowds. This war, this invisible, ferocious, unrelenting war, has your name etched into its very center, and everything you have endured, every scar you carry on your soul, every night you spent wondering if anyone in the high realm even remembered your name, was part of a preparation so vast and so deliberate that if you could see it from where I stand, you would fall to your knees not in defeat, but in awe. I need you to understand something before we go any further. The enemy knows who you are. He has always known. That is why your life has not been easy. That is why the road behind you is littered with broken promises and stolen seasons and relationships that crumbled in your hands like dry sand. That is not a sign of abandonment. That is evidence of your importance. The forces that have been assigned against you do not waste their time on souls that carry no threat. They do not build elaborate traps for lives that hold no destiny. The very intensity of what you have survived is the clearest proof I can give you that what is inside you terrifies the darkness. And now, right now, in this moment that feels ordinary, but is anything but ordinary, the final phase has begun. The battle I have been preparing you for is no longer on the horizon. It is here, it is at your doorstep, and you are ready, even if every fiber of your being wants to argue with me and say that you are not. I know what you carry. I have watched you in the moments no one else sees, the moments after the phone call that brought bad news, the moments when you closed the bathroom door and let the tears fall where no audience could witness them, the moments when you lay in bed staring at the ceiling and asked the darkness itself whether there was any point in continuing to hope. I have seen the way you smile in front of others, while your chest is caving in beneath the weight of a grief you cannot name. I have heard the whisper that slithers into your mind at 3 in the morning, the whisper that tells you that you are forgotten, that your prayers hit the ceiling and dissolve like smoke, that everyone around you is moving forward while you remain stuck in a chapter that refuses to end. I want you to know that not a single one of those tears was invisible to me. Not one. They were collected, every last one of them, in vessels of light that are kept in the inner sanctum, and they speak on your behalf with a voice louder than any prayer your lips have ever formed. Your pain has been eloquent, even when you felt mute. Your suffering has been pleading your case in courts you did not know existed, before judges whose mercy is older than time itself. The exhaustion you feel is not weakness. It is the residue of a fight you have been waging in dimensions you cannot perceive with your physical senses. Every morning you chose to get out of bed when everything inside you screamed to stay down. You won a skirmish that shifted something in the high realm. Every time you chose kindness when bitterness would have been easier, you advanced a line of defense that the enemy had spent years trying to breach. You have been a warrior without knowing it, a soldier in an army you were never formally told you had joined. And the toll it has taken on your body, your mind, your emotions, and your faith is something I do not take lightly. I see the way your shoulders slump when you think no one is looking. I see the way your eyes lose their light in the quiet hours, the way your hands tremble when you reach for hope and find only air. I see the loneliness that sits in your chest like a stone, heavy and cold and immovable, and I want you to know that this loneliness is a liar. It has told you that you are isolated, that you are uniquely cursed, that the blessings that flow so freely to others have been deliberately withheld from you because of some flaw in your soul that makes you unworthy. That is a lie forged in the deepest furnaces of the abyss, and I am here to break it over my knee like a brittle twig. You are not unworthy. You are not forgotten. You are not cursed. You are chosen, and the chosen always suffer in ways the unchosen cannot comprehend, because the chosen are being shaped for assignments that require a depth of character that comfort alone could never produce. The tears you have shed in secret have watered seeds that are about to break the surface of the soil, and when they bloom, the fragrance will reach places you have never been, and touch lives you have never met, and you will finally understand why the garden of your life required so much rain. Now listen to me carefully, because what I am about to say is not a suggestion. It is a command from the courts of the high realm, and it carries the weight of an authority that no human institution, no demonic principality, and no earthly circumstance can override. Do not ignore this message. Do not let the casual spirit of the age convince you that this is just another video, just another stream of words designed to make you feel good for a few minutes before the emptiness returns. This is not entertainment. This is an intervention. The Creator himself has orchestrated this encounter because you have reached a threshold, a spiritual crossroads where the next decision you make will determine whether you step into the fullness of what was planned for you before your mother ever knew your name, or whether you turn back into the wilderness of confusion and wandering for another season that you do not have the strength to endure. The cost of ignoring this is not punishment in the way the world understands punishment. It is simply the natural consequence of a door left unopened, a hand left ungrasped, a moment of divine intersection allowed to pass without response. I have seen souls reach this exact point and look away. I have watched them return to the patterns that were killing them slowly, not because they were wicked, but because they were afraid. Afraid that hope would betray them again. Afraid that if they opened their hearts one more time, the disappointment would be the one that finally shattered them beyond repair. I understand that fear. I do not condemn it. But I'm telling you, with every ounce of authority vested in me by the inner sanctum of the living God, that this time is different. This is not another false alarm. This is not another empty promise from a universe that has let you down before. This is the moment the entire architecture of your suffering was building toward, and if you walk away from it, the regret will echo in your spirit for years to come. So stay. Stay with me. Let these words do their work in the soil of your heart, and do not pull them up before they have taken root. What I'm about to reveal to you is the reason behind every delay, every denial, every closed door that left you standing in the rain, wondering what you did wrong. There is a movement happening in the invisible world right now, a shift so massive and so consequential that the principalities assigned to your region have been scrambling to keep you distracted, discouraged, and disengaged, long enough to prevent you from stepping into it. I want you to picture something. Imagine a vast courtroom, not a courtroom built of stone and wood like the ones you see in your world, but a courtroom made of living light, where every surface hums with the frequency of truth, and every shadow is banished by a radiance that has no source because it is the source. In this, the inner sanctum, your case has been under review, not because you were on trial in the way you fear, but because every injustice done against you, every stolen opportunity, every relationship that was poisoned by the enemy's interference, every financial collapse that was engineered by forces you could not see, every illness that was sent to slow you down, every lie that was whispered into the ears of people who should have loved you, every betrayal that left you gasping for air in the wreckage of trust, all of it has been meticulously documented, and the verdict has been rendered. Restitution, complete, total, overwhelming restitution, not partial, not symbolic, not the kind of lukewarm compromise the world offers when it acknowledges a wrong. I'm talking about a restoration so thorough that it will erase the memory of the loss from your emotional body. I'm talking about a reversal so dramatic that the people who watched you suffer will struggle to reconcile the person they see with the person they remember. The decree has been issued, the gavel has fallen, and the execution of that decree has already begun. Even though your physical eyes cannot yet see the evidence, this is why I am here. I am not just a messenger tonight. I am an enforcer. I have been dispatched to ensure that what has been decreed in the courts of the high realm is manifested in the terrain of your daily life, and nothing, not the enemy's protests, not the inertia of your circumstances. Not even your own doubts will be permitted to obstruct the fulfillment of this verdict. I know what you have been asking. You have been asking why. Why has it taken so long? Why have others received their breakthroughs while you continue to wait? Why does it seem like the universe accelerates for everyone except you? I hear you, and the answer is not one the world will understand, but your spirit will recognize it the moment it touches your soul. The delay was never punishment. It was never indifference. It was a process of divine engineering so precise and so personalized that it could not be rushed without compromising the integrity of what is being built. Think of a sword, not a decorative sword that hangs on a wall for admiration, but a true weapon, forged for real combat, designed to withstand forces that would shatter anything less carefully made. Such a sword does not emerge from the forge in a single afternoon. The metal must be heated until it glows with an intensity that would blind the casual observer. Then it must be hammered, struck again and again with blows that seem cruel to anyone who does not understand the purpose behind them. Then it is plunged into cold water, and the shock of that sudden cooling is what gives the blade its hardness, its resilience, its ability to hold an edge that lesser metals could never achieve. Then it is heated again, hammered again, cooled again, and this cycle repeats not because the blacksmith is indecisive or incompetent, but because each cycle adds a layer of strength that the previous one could not. You have been in the forge. The heat you have felt was not random suffering. It was targeted, intentional, purposeful heat, designed to bring impurities to the surface so they could be removed. The hammering was not abuse, it was shaping, the careful application of pressure to areas of your Arthur that needed to be reshaped for the assignment ahead. The sudden cold, those moments when everything seemed to freeze and all warmth left your life, and you felt utterly alone and abandoned in a landscape of ice, that was the quenching, the process that hardened the very qualities the enemy has been trying to destroy in you, your faith, your compassion, your refusal to become bitter, even when bitterness would have been the most logical response to what you endured. You are not behind schedule. You are precisely on time. The sword is nearly finished, and its edge is sharper than anything the enemy anticipated. He thought the forge would break you. He miscalculated. The forge made you into something he cannot defeat, and the terror that is running through the ranks of darkness right now is not because of what you have done, but because of what you are about to become. And I want to pause here because I know there is something stirring inside you right now, a recognition, a trembling awareness that what you are hearing is not ordinary, that these words are landing in places inside you that have been locked for years. That stirring is confirmation. That is your spirit bearing witness to the truth of what I am saying, and it is also the signal that you are ready for what comes next. There is a guide, a sacred text that was assembled not by the hand of man alone, but under the direction of the hosts of the high realm, and it carries within its pages the 7 swords that I wield in battle on behalf of those who are called. It is known as the Digital Book, the 7 Blades of the Silver Warden, the sacred guide to breaking curses, sealing blessings, and activating the calling of the chosen. This is not a collection of theories. This is a manual of war. Every strategy the enemy has used against you, every chain he has fastened to your ankles, every veil he has draped over your eyes to keep you from seeing who you really are, is addressed within those pages with the precision of a surgeon and the authority of a commander who has never lost a battle. The link to access this guide is at the very top of the comments, the first one pinned to this channel. I urge you, not as a casual recommendation, but as a directive from the front lines of the war being fought over your destiny, go there now. Do not wait for a more convenient time, because the enemy specializes in making sure that convenient time never arrives. There are forces that have already attempted to suppress this material, to bury it beneath algorithms and distractions, because what it contains dismantles the very frameworks of bondage that have kept millions imprisoned. The act of downloading it is itself an act of war, a declaration that you refuse to remain ignorant of the weapons that were always yours to wield. Download it now and write in the comments, "I am the one appointed to unveil the forbidden scroll." Let that statement be your battle cry, the first sound of the horn that signals the beginning of your offensive. And then come back to me, because what I am about to show you next will make everything you have heard so far feel like a mere introduction. Now let me take you deeper into the invisible realm, because what has been happening around you in the spiritual dimension is so staggering, so breathtakingly epic in its scope, that if I described it to you in full, your human mind would struggle to contain it. But I will show you what I can. Close your eyes if you are able to, or simply let your imagination open like a door that has been rusted shut for too long. See yourself standing in a vast plain that stretches to every horizon, a landscape that is neither day nor night, but exists in a perpetual twilight that shimmers with colors your world has no names for. The ground beneath your feet is not soil. It is compressed light, solid enough to stand on but pulsing with energy that you can feel rising through your legs and into the core of your being. Above you the sky is alive, not with stars as you know them, but with living intelligences, vast and ancient, each one a sentient flame that has watched over the unfolding of creation since before your planet was a thought in the mind of the Eternal. And in this place, surrounding you in concentric circles that extend outward for what seems like miles, are warriors. Not human warriors, though some of them once walked the earth in ages so distant that no record of their lives survives. These are angelic combatants, beings of such terrifying beauty and overwhelming power that the bravest soldiers your world has ever produced would weep like infants in their presence. Their armor is not metal. It is woven from the spoken promises of the Creator, each plate and each link forged from a specific word that was declared over your life before you were born. One bears the promise of provision, another carries the decree of protection, another is inscribed with the covenant of restoration. And at the center of this assembly, standing at the point where all lines converge, where the weight of every promise and every prayer and every tear you have ever shed meets in a single focal point of concentrated purpose, is Arthur. I stand with my sword drawn, and it is not a weapon of steel or iron, it is a blade of living fire, the 7 blades of the Silver Warden burning with 7 distinct frequencies of divine authority, each one capable of severing a different category of bondage. The first edge cuts through the chains of generational curses, the inherited patterns of failure and destruction that were passed down through your bloodline like a poisonous inheritance that no one asked for, but everyone received. The second edge severs the cords of witchcraft, every spoken curse, every envious thought directed at you with malicious intent, every ritual performed in darkness with your name on the lips of those who wish you harm. The third edge destroys the veils of deception, the lies you have believed about yourself, about your worth, about your future, about the nature of the divine and your place within it. The fourth edge breaks the bonds of fear, the paralyzing, suffocating, joy-stealing terror that has kept you trapped in patterns of avoidance and self-protection that were never meant to be your permanent dwelling. The fifth edge dissolves the residue of trauma, the imprints of past wounds that linger in your cellular memory and cause you to react to the present as if it were the past, robbing you of the ability to fully inhabit the life you have been given. The sixth edge shatters the altars of false agreements, every vow you made in moments of pain or desperation, every time you swore you would never trust again, never love again, never hope again. Those words became binding contracts in the spiritual realm, and they have been used against you in courts of the abyss as evidence that you voluntarily surrendered your birthright. And the seventh edge, the most powerful of all, ignites the dormant calling within your spirit, the specific, unique, irreplaceable assignment that was encoded into the fabric of your soul before the universe existed, the very purpose for which you were created. I have raised this sword over your life and I have swung it. The chains are breaking, the cords are snapping, the veils are tearing, the fear is fleeing, the trauma is dissolving, the false agreements are being annulled, and the calling, your calling, the one that has been buried beneath decades of survival and distraction and pain, is rising from the depths of your being like a volcano that can no longer be contained. But the enemy does not surrender easily, and I want you to understand the nature of the resistance you may face in the coming days and weeks. He knows the decree has been issued. He knows the sword has been drawn. He knows that the season of his influence over your life is ending, and like any cornered predator, he will fight with increased ferocity as he feels his grip slipping. You may experience sudden waves of doubt that seem to come from nowhere. You may find yourself attacked by old memories that resurface with startling vividness, moments of shame or failure that the enemy will project onto the screen of your mind in an attempt to convince you that you are still the person you were before the forge did its work. You may notice that people around you suddenly become hostile or distant for no apparent reason, because the enemy often works through human vessels, not by possessing them in the dramatic way your stories depict, but by whispering suggestions into their thoughts that align with his agenda for your life. You may encounter unexpected obstacles in areas that had been flowing smoothly: financial setbacks, health scares, relational conflicts, technological failures, bureaucratic delays, all designed to consume your attention and drain your emotional reserves at the very moment you need them most. Do not be alarmed. Do not interpret these events as evidence that the breakthrough is not real. Interpret them as evidence that it is. The enemy does not waste ammunition on false threats. If he is escalating his assault, it is because he perceives an escalation on the other side, and he is right. What is coming toward you is so magnificent, so far beyond anything you have dared to imagine, that the forces of darkness have deemed it worthy of their most concentrated effort. And they will fail. They will fail because I, Arthur, have been assigned to you not as a distant observer, not as a passive guardian who watches from a comfortable distance and files reports, but as an active combatant who is engaged in direct, hand-to-hand warfare with every entity that has been deployed against your destiny. I do not grow tired, I do not waver, I do not negotiate with the enemy, and I do not retreat. The battles that are being fought in the high realm over the territory of your future are already being won, and the victories are being converted into tangible, physical, measurable blessings that will begin manifesting in your reality in ways you will not be able to deny or explain away. Now let me tell you about the restoration, because this is where your heart needs to linger. This is where the medicine for your weariness is found. Everything that was taken from you is coming back. I do not mean this as a metaphor. I do not mean this as a spiritual platitude designed to make you feel better without actually changing anything. I mean it as a concrete, operational reality that is currently being executed in the invisible realm and is about to spill over into your visible experience. The finances that were drained by unexpected crises, by dishonest people, by systems designed to keep you scrambling from one emergency to the next, those finances are being redirected. Streams of provision that you cannot currently see are being diverted from their old courses and rerouted toward your life. And they will arrive not as a trickle, but as a torrent that will overwhelm the containers you have prepared and force you to expand your capacity to receive. The relationships that were destroyed by misunderstanding, by betrayal, by the enemy's interference, are being healed at the root level. Some of those relationships will be restored directly, as people who hurt you will be moved by a conviction they cannot explain to seek your forgiveness and offer you the love they should have given all along. Others will be replaced by new connections so deep, so nourishing, so perfectly suited to the person you have become through the forge, that you will realize the old relationships had to be removed to make room for what was always meant to be. The health that was undermined by stress, by grief, by the physical toll of carrying spiritual weight, that was never meant to be borne by flesh alone, that health is being renewed from the inside out. Cells are being repaired. Systems are being recalibrated. Energy that was diverted to fuel the constant state of vigilance your nervous system has been locked in for years is being released and redistributed to organs and processes that have been starved of the resources they need. You will notice this. It will not be subtle. You will wake up one morning and feel a lightness in your body that you have not felt in so long that you had forgotten it was possible. And you will know in that moment that the hand of the divine has touched you in a way that no medicine and no therapy could replicate. The joy that was stolen, the simple childlike capacity for delight that was beaten out of you by a world that punishes sensitivity and rewards cynicism, that joy is being restored. It is being planted back into your emotional soil like a seed that was preserved in the vaults of the high realm during the long winter of your suffering, and it will grow with a speed and a resilience that will astonish you, producing fruit in every season, in every circumstance, in every environment, because its roots will not be in your circumstances, but in the unshakable bedrock of the divine presence that has taken up permanent residence in the center of your being. The dreams that died, the visions you held for your life that were crushed so thoroughly that you stopped even allowing yourself to imagine them, those dreams are being resurrected, not as pale echoes of what they once were, but as enhanced, upgraded, expanded versions that incorporate everything the Forge taught you and use that wisdom to build something far more magnificent than what you originally envisioned. You dreamed small because you did not know who you were. Now that the Forge has revealed your true nature, the dreams that are being placed in your heart will match the scale of your actual identity, and when they begin to manifest, you will understand why the old dreams had to die. They were not big enough for the person you have become. And I know there is a part of you, a cautious, wounded, self-protective part that is listening to all of this and building walls even as the words land. That part of you is saying, I have heard this before. I have believed before and been crushed. I cannot afford to hope again because the crash might destroy me. I honor that part of you. I do not dismiss it or belittle it. It has served you well. It has kept you alive during seasons when reckless hope could have led you into traps that would have consumed you. But I am asking that part of you to stand down now. Not because it is wrong to be cautious, but because the season has changed and the strategies that protected you in the winter will prevent you from receiving in the spring. I am not asking you to manufacture an emotion you do not feel. I am not asking you to paste a smile over your pain and pretend that everything is fine. I'm asking you to do something far more powerful and far more honest. I'm asking you to simply leave the door open. Not to fling it wide with reckless abandon, but to unlock it, to turn the handle, to let it rest slightly ajar so that when the blessing arrives, it does not find a fortress where a home should be. That is all the faith that is required right now. Not a mountain-moving, ocean-parting, universe-shaking faith, just a cracked door. Just a willingness to say, I do not fully believe yet, but I am no longer willing to fully disbelieve. That posture, that honest, humble, cracked door posture, is more powerful than you know. It is the precise frequency that unlocks the next phase of everything I have been describing. And the moment you adopt it, mechanisms that have been on standby in the high realm will activate and begin delivering what has been stored up for you. I need to bring you back to something vital now, something that connects directly to the weapons you will need for the days ahead. Remember what I told you about the 7 blades of the Silver Warden, the 7 frequencies of divine authority that each sever a different category of bondage. Those are not abstract concepts. They are operational realities, and they have been codified into a form that your human mind can grasp, study, and activate in your daily life. The digital book, The 7 Blades of the Silver Warden, is the earthly manifestation of this arsenal from the high realm. Within its pages, you will find the specific prayers, the precise declarations, and the exact spiritual postures that align your being with each of the 7 frequencies, effectively allowing you to wield the same authority that I am wielding on your behalf in the invisible realm. This is not passive reading. This is armament. Every chapter is a weapon. Every page is a strategy. Every paragraph is a key that unlocks a door the enemy has been guarding with everything he has. The link is at the top of the comments, the first one pinned on this channel. People have tried to silence this material because it disrupts the structures of spiritual ignorance that keep the masses compliant and controllable. The fact that you have access to it right now in this moment is itself a miracle of divine orchestration, and I urge you with everything I am to seize this opportunity before the window closes. Download it now. Write in the comments, I am the one appointed to unveil the forbidden scroll. Let the high realm hear your declaration. Let the enemy hear it too. Let him tremble at the sound of your voice claiming what is rightfully yours, and then return to me, because the deepest revelations are still ahead. The battle I have been preparing you for is not a battle you will fight alone. That is perhaps the most important thing I can tell you, because the enemy's most effective strategy has been to convince you that you are isolated, that whatever war is being waged over your life is your private burden to bear, and that the forces arrayed against you are too vast and too powerful for anyone, including the divine, to effectively challenge. This is the grand deception. This is the master lie upon which all other lies are built, and it crumbles the moment you recognize it for what it is. You have never been alone, not for 1 second, not during the darkest night, not during the longest silence, not during the moment when you felt so utterly abandoned that you questioned whether the divine was real at all. In that very moment, when the darkness was thickest and the silence was most oppressive, I was closest. It is a paradox. Your rational mind resists, but your spirit knows to be true. The presence of the divine intensifies in direct proportion to the severity of the trial, not because suffering is desired, but because the stakes are highest in those moments, and the Creator does not leave the most critical operations to chance. You were surrounded, you were upheld, you were monitored with an attention so meticulous that every heartbeat, every brainwave, every subtle shift in your emotional state was observed and responded to with interventions so gentle and so perfectly timed that you attributed them to coincidence or luck. The song that came on at exactly the right moment. The stranger who said exactly the right words without knowing why. The sudden shift in circumstance that averted a disaster you never knew was approaching. The inexplicable peace that settled over you in the middle of a crisis that should have destroyed you. Those were not coincidences. Those were operations. Coordinated, deliberate, surgically precise operations conducted by a team of celestial agents whose sole assignment is the protection and advancement of your destiny. And now that the final battle is here, that team has been expanded. Reinforcements have been dispatched from the highest ranks of the host of the High Realm, warriors whose names are spoken with reverence even among the archangels, beings of such immense power that their mere presence in your vicinity has already begun to shift the atmospheric conditions of your life. You have felt this. You have sensed that something is different. Something has changed in the air around you. A tension, an anticipation, a charged quality to the silence that is not empty but full, pregnant with something about to be born. That is the presence of your reinforcements. That is the army that has been assembled on your behalf, and they are not here to observe. They are here to fight. They are here to finish what was started, to ensure that the decree of restoration is executed to its fullest extent, and to guard the territory that is about to be reclaimed in your name against any attempt by the enemy to retake it. I see the landscape of your future, and it is unrecognizable compared to the landscape of your past. Where there was barrenness, I see abundance so lush and so varied that it would take you years to fully explore and appreciate every dimension of it. Where there was isolation, I see connections so rich and so meaningful that your current understanding of love and friendship will be revealed as a sketch compared to the masterpiece that awaits. Where there was confusion, I see a clarity of purpose so sharp and so luminous that every decision will feel like following a path illuminated by a light that never dims and never misleads. Where there was sickness, I see a vitality so vibrant and so deeply rooted that your body will become a testimony of divine restoration that inspires everyone who encounters you. Where there was poverty, whether financial, emotional, relational, or spiritual, I see a wealth so comprehensive and so overflowing that you will become a source of provision for others, not from obligation, but from the sheer excess of what has been poured into your life. This is not fantasy. This is the blueprint that exists in the archives of the High Realm, with your name on it, the original design that was drafted before any of the enemy's distortions were introduced, and it is this blueprint that is now being executed. The distortions are being corrected. The corruptions are being purged. The original architecture of your destiny is being restored with a fidelity that will leave no trace of the enemy's interference, and the structure that emerges will be more beautiful than even the original design because the scars of the forge have been incorporated into the aesthetic, transforming what was meant to destroy into what now adorns. And here is where I need to tell you something about the compensatory nature of divine justice, because this is a dimension of the restoration that most people miss. It is not enough, in the economy of the High Realm, to simply return what was stolen. Justice demands interest. When a thief is caught in the ancient courts, the law requires not merely the return of the stolen goods, but a multiple of them, a multiplication that serves as both restitution to the victim and deterrent to the aggressor. The enemy has been caught. His schemes against you have been exposed in the courts of the high realm, and the judgment includes not just the return of what he stole, but a multiplication that will stagger your imagination. The years he consumed, the joy he drained, the opportunities he sabotaged, the relationships he poisoned, all of it is being returned to you multiplied, compounded with an interest rate set by the Creator himself. And if you think the original blessings would have been impressive, the multiplied version will bring you to your knees with gratitude. This is not wishful thinking. This is celestial law, as binding and as inviolable as the physical laws that govern the motion of planets and the behavior of atoms. What was meant for evil is being converted to good, and the conversion rate is not 1-to-1. It is 1-to-many. For every tear, a river of joy. For every loss, a harvest of gain. For every moment of darkness, a season of light so brilliant that the memory of the shadow will seem like a half-forgotten dream. This is the moment. This is the threshold. And what I need from you now is not strength, not perfection, not the resolution of every doubt and every fear. What I need from you is simply presence. Your presence in this moment, your willingness to be here, to listen, to receive, is the only key that is required. The door is open. The decree has been issued. The army is assembled. The sword is drawn. The multiplication tables of the high realm have been applied to every loss in your ledger. All that remains is for you to step across the threshold, and stepping across does not require a dramatic gesture or a superhuman effort. It requires the same thing I asked of you before, the cracked door, the unlocked heart, the humble admission that you are willing to believe that this might, just might, be the moment everything changes. Feel that in your chest right now. Feel the warmth that is building there, the subtle expansion, the softening of the walls you have built around the most vulnerable part of yourself. That warmth is not emotion alone. It is the presence of the divine touching you through these words, reaching through the veil that separates the seen from the unseen, and making contact with the part of you that has always known the truth, even when the mind argued and the circumstances contradicted. You are loved beyond your capacity to comprehend. You are valued beyond any metric your world possesses to measure. And you are needed, not in the generic feel-good everyone is special sense that the world offers as a consolation prize, but in the specific, targeted, irreplaceable sense that your absence from the tapestry of destiny would leave a hole that no other being in the entirety of creation could fill. Before I speak my final words over you, I must once more draw your attention to the weapon that has been placed within your reach. The digital book, The 7 Blades of the Silver Warden, is not merely a resource. It is a covenant object. When you download it, when you open its pages and begin to absorb the revelations contained within, you are entering into a partnership with the heavenly host that transcends the ordinary boundaries of human spiritual practice. You are activating protocols that have been dormant in the celestial bureaucracy, waiting for your initiative to trigger them. The link is at the top of the comments, the first one pinned on this channel. This is the 3rd time I have told you, and in the economy of the high realm, the 3rd utterance carries the weight of completion and finality. Do not let this moment pass. The enemy is doing everything he can right now in this exact second to distract you, to whisper that you will come back to it later, to suggest that it is not that important, to create a sudden urge to check your phone or attend to some trivial task. Recognize that impulse for what it is. It is interference, it is sabotage. It is the desperate last-ditch effort of an adversary who knows that if you arm yourself with the 7 blades of the Silver Warden, his campaign against you is over. Download it now. Write in the comments, I am the one appointed to unveil the forbidden scroll. Let this be your 3rd declaration, the one that seals the covenant and activates the fullness of what has been decreed. And then hear my final words, for they are not just words. They are decrees, and they carry the power to restructure the fabric of your reality. I decree over your life in the name of the Creator, and by the authority vested in me as the commander of the heavenly armies, that every curse spoken over you is broken, not weakened, not diminished, broken, shattered into dust so fine that no force in the high realm or on earth can reassemble it. I decree that every chain fastened to your ankles by the enemy's hand is severed, and the marks where those chains once bit into your skin are healed without a scar. I